all systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another PGA show, our final PGA main show of this regular season, now into the playoffs, but of this PGA season, we're going to stop at the BMW Championship. The Tour Championship obviously gets much smaller, but we've got 50 golfers down to 49. Sepp Straka has WD'd for personal reasons, so hopefully everything okay there with Sepp Straka, but 49 golfers in the field. Very interesting pricing, which we'll get to over on DraftKings. Got my guy Hoopster here with me as always, and Hoopster, I'll bring you in. BMW Championship, second last event of the year. Crazy week last week. That tournament is always good, especially when it goes to a playoff. Justin Rose getting the job done. Poor Tommy Fleetwood. What's happening, man? How you doing?
Yeah, the Tommy Fleetwood thing's definitely what stands out to me. And it's tough. I mean, honestly, it's just tough to watch at this point. You can tell that, like, man, he gets close or he's in contention and he starts playing differently, and it's tough. And he's a good golfer, obviously, but to never be able to seal the deal and just melt down every single time at the end it's tough to watch. But I got to give him some credit though, man. Like, he went in, took that interview like a man, and like had some decent. I couldn't do it. I know Rory couldn't do it. Rory's a little bitch. He would have ran away, couldn't handle it. But like, got to give him a little bit of credit for standing in there and taking it. I mean, he wants to win. Obviously, he's got a very nice life without the wins, tons of money, tons of success, obviously overall, but he wants that win, and to not be able to do it, it's tough to watch. But give him credit though for taking that interview like a man at the end. But overall, it's like, yeah, Justin Rose has shown up in some of these tougher tournaments. JJ Spawn continues to play well, was pretty unfazed there at the end, and I mean, he's definitely a guy that appears to have taken the step, got the win at the U.S. Open, and has played well very consistently all season long. Scotty obviously right there, then all the other losers that are never in contention, pretty far behind. So yeah, that was kind of my takeaway from last week.
Yeah, I said in the Discord, like, one thing is I said maybe Tommy should stop doing those interviews. I know it's like a step up to make fun of Rory, but it's like it's the same thing every time now. We get it. You played well. You thought you were right there. I'm not being rude about it. It's good for him, and like I get like standing in there and you have a role to play, but when you're just saying the same thing, I didn't get too much out of his interview. It's just like you got to close it one of these times, and he didn't, and so we're back to the same square one. I said put it on repeat of him in that quote where he says, I just didn't have it, so I couldn't get up over the end. But people would have given him shit even if he did win, by the way. They would have said it's a small field, whether it was the strongest going or not. They still would have said it's a short field that he won. And like, you cannot win. People complaining this week about the UFC stuff with MMA and Paramount Plus, like, oh, we got to go get another provider. It's like, yeah, you can save like $100. I mean, if you're already
saving cheese, man. I pay for it every week. Mrs. Hoop was very excited. She goes, does that mean you're not paying the $80 every week or every month for the pay-per-view? I was like, yeah. She goes, oh, that's good news.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go around and pick up different ingredients for a recipe to make it happen. It sucks. Yes, you would like to have everything in one place. Our motto at SHIPIT Nation is everything you need to have success with DFS all in one place. We got that and more with SHIPIT Games. So we'll go there in a second. But anything else you want to talk about, Hoop, just with this playoff format and where we landed this week? I know we're going to get to Saber Sim and the pricing and sort of lineup construction shortly. But is there anything else? I guess Ted Scott not going to be there on Scotty's bag is a big note to start the week. But anything else that stands out? Rory's back. A couple other things. Just kick it your way, though.
Yeah, I think like Ted Scott, interesting situation. Not sure what's going on. There hasn't been much reporting or information on it. Scotty, to me, is definitely better when Ted Scott is there. I mean, there's some not weird situations, but he was kind of walking off some of his own stuff, whereas Ted Scott would have done it in the past. I don't know if it led to the him not winning or not. It doesn't matter. He's still the top player in the world. Rory coming back, a little bit interesting dynamic. Hasn't really played in a while. Sat out last week, which is, I guess, a little bit interesting and definitely a flaw in the format where the number 2 person can just sit out and gets to move on. Like, how the hell is that a playoff if you're sitting out the first round and you get to advance to the second? Like, the format's still flawed. I'm glad they're not doing the starting strokes next week, because that's very, very flawed, even more so than anything else. But those are the two big things. I think Ted Scott not being there and, Rory playing this week are two things to consider. And then the very small field, only 50 golfers this week. In golf, you always want to build unique, different roster construction, be thoughtful of that this week, even more so, probably looking to leave salary on the table. We'll kind of get into it when we start looking through some of these teams, but it's a definitely a different dynamic this week with only 50 guys, no cut event.
Yeah, we'll bust out the marketing quick. So if you want to fast forward on a replay, you can always do that. We don't timestamp it, but I'll go through everything quickly because if you haven't been with us, obviously football is coming back. We did launch SHIPIT games last week. I'll go through here in 2 seconds. But if you're wondering what the $77,700 is, that is what us and SaberSim are going to be giving away this NFL season. So you just have to be an NFL or football only member. You can get the football early bird special right now, including SaberSim. It gets you free all access until football comes back on September 3rd. It gets you a free DFS Mastermind NFL Mega Course, 8 hours of NFL DFS tutorial content to get you ready for the upcoming season. But we're giving away 50 grand cash just to start. It can grow as the season goes on. And I saw here earlier, shout out to our guy, Scar X says Tommy's never going to win. Easy fade this week. But there's our guy, Scar X, got the SHIPIT Nation logo up. $1 million winner from the community. We've got 4 of them. So lots of good stuff. I do want to say, Hoop, just real quick while we got this up here before we go SHIPIT games, everyone talks about the DFS content industry and the pricing and all the different sites and stuff. I wanted to simplify it. I might even post it out on X later. Like, it's really simple. Every site has people that have had success at DFS or won tournaments or done good. They all provide good value in some way, shape, or form. Most places focus on price. Ours, we've always focused on trying to be the most affordable. If other sites or competitors want to come up $1 cheaper or whatever it might be, that's fine. But ask them if they're offering up $77,700 back to you. And I don't think the answer is yes. That's the thing about the SHIPIT game. So one thing that people always talk about, Hoop, is just, giving back and doing all this different stuff. I think SHIPIT games is completely innovative, had a ton of great feedback. People reached out about what we were offering. Anything you want to add when it comes to that? I think our price stands on its own. We all have success at different sites out there to help people find their way to the top. But I think SHIPIT games is truly something unique and different that's going to be a lot of fun this season for everybody involved.
Yeah, I mean, talked about it on the launch show, and we'll talk about it again. Like, there's only so much you can do content-wise. People will, change the names of their content, but really it's the exact same thing, and try to get you excited like you need this one tool. And there's only so much you can do, like content-wise, and we are very comfortable with our offering, comfortable with the content. We continue to improve and add on, but really there's only so much you can do. So we wanted to take a different route and, go about delivering content in an innovative, fun, creative, gamified way. And, there's no one can do anything like this. No one is going to do anything like this. No one would put the time into doing anything like this. No one would put the money into doing something like this. And I talked about it openly on the show. This not likely, but could result in a loss for us financially, like guaranteeing $50,000. Like, it could end up being a loss for us, and we're fine with that. Like, the site's doing very, very well. We have a very large member base. We have a very good community that we're proud of. So this is just something different that we wanted to do. No one can do anything like this. It's different. And a couple of people have asked, so how do I get into SHIPIT games? If you're a member, you're in. Like, there's not like we're charging you an extra $100 to get in. If you're a member at SHIPIT Nation, you are automatically in. You'll automatically start to accumulate your ballots. So no one can match this. Way different. You can play the pricing game all day long, but it doesn't change the facts of the situation.
Yeah, and I should just say, if you're at another site that is dropping their prices, you're already a member. I mean, you're fully eligible, just trying to give people the best deal possible. Just cancel your current membership. Go get the cheaper price. Save yourself money that way. Even if you don't want to be with us, I think that's a way you can save money. But I would suspect that most people would want to just be able to cancel, jump ship, like I've talked about, come over to SHIPIT Nation. We've got everything you need, including SaberSim, and you'll automatically be entered into the SHIPIT games. So check it out. Go to shipitgames.com. All the details are there. We are giving away 50 golden SHIPITs this season. Those are the golden tickets over at SHIPIT Nation. And like I said, the prizes can only go up. But just so you see the breakdown here, it's worth talking about. More than some Manscaped ad that's going to give you no value, we're giving away $20,000 to one lucky winner this season. That winner will also receive our $4,300 package of SHIPIT Nation and SaberSim Ultimate. Second will also be 5 figures, 10K plus the same prize. Third will be 5K plus the same prize, 2K, 1K, a bunch of 500s and 250s. And then you can go read the games yourself, but there is a chance that another 50% of any profit on the 16 weeks we play Share-a-Ship, game number 2, 50% of those prizes will move over to this. One thing that came up commonly, Hoop, was that, do I have to be an NFL member? It's a football contest for the football season. It's beneficial to be there all season long. Matter of fact, the way the ballots break down, you get more ballots the longer you stick around. Football only or all access are both automatically entered. If you're a PGA only and you're wanting to get in, that's why I wanted to bring this up, and then we'll move on, is you could cancel your PGA only membership with us right now, and then you can go sign up for the early bird package of football only, or you could sign up for whatever else you want to, move over to an all access, whatever it is. You will get all access free for the next, give or take, just under a month anyway, and then you would still be in SHIPIT games. We're tracking all of the ballots for everybody. It's going to be something that's completely hands off. As Hoop said it last time, it's basically a complete free roll. And then lastly, if you want to go to the site, shipitnation.com, more logos. This is an amazing thing SaberSim, our partner, stepped up for. They have given us access to their loyalty program, the Winner's Circle, where if you have one of our logos, up to and including the full Rolex promotion. So if you go to shipitnation.com/logos, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, any of these scores that you have can get you free months for what you already have, swag up to and including a Rolex for a $1 million win. Like I started off with, we've had 4. Let's get a 5th, and they will be in the chance to win that Rolex and more. Hoop, anything to add on before we move on?
The only thing I was going to add on was in terms of the prize, the 77,000. I mean, that can only go up. That's the starting point. So it can never go down. That can only go up, and it can go up massively. Obviously, if somebody hits big on game 2, where you're entering into the Wildcat or whatever the featured contest is that week. Sometimes it might be a 222. Sometimes it might be a 555. We're going to focus on that featured contest. We want to get that prize pool as big as possible. And then one other thing I did want to touch on, we talked about people playing the pricing games, but another thing to take into account, a lot of these sites are really starting to turn more sports betting opposed to DFS, like really trying to push sports betting down your throat. We're not doing that. We stay in our lane. We're staying in the DFS lane. We're not forcing best ball and sports betting down your throat. We stay in our lane, and that's why the partnership with SaberSim works out so well, because they stay in their lane too, and it's definitely something to take into account when choosing your spot for NFL this year.
Yeah, just hit us up too. We're very personable. The customer service is there. If you want to hit me up in the DM on Discord, info@shipitnation.com. If you want to talk about moving plans or moving over, we'll take care of you in the back end. We're pretty competitive when it comes to that stuff. So, all right, Hoop, you got SaberSim up. I will say, let's get into this now. The pricing is interesting because I don't remember seeing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 golfers above 10K, well, including a 13,400 Scotty, but it's obviously because we have a smaller field, so I get how it works. But to me, it shows a ton of value when it comes to, let me just pull mine off there and you can pop yours up. You got it?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not. There we go. All right. Just need to change the.
We got it.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I do like what they did though with the pricing though, because if not, like if you just have Scotty and then Rory and then everyone else cheaper, it's just roster construction. It's not as fun and competitive for roster construction. They had to bring these prices up, and I'm glad they did it. A lot of guys are going to look kind of overpriced when we start going through these tiers and talking through it. I mean, you got guys in the 10K that we really haven't seen in the 10K. Fleetwood, Cantlay, even Ludwig has kind of hung out in the 9K range recently. So getting guys that are looking a little more expensive than they should be, and I'm glad they did it that way this week.
Yeah, I like it. I think, like I said, it's good, but I mean, you're pulling it up here now, and I know right now it's by projected score. When you pull over your exposure just on a dry run, what does it look like there? 100% Scotty? Yeah. Even
100% for Scotty. Yeah. So you get what you can see. And man, I know I failed you this week by not bringing over the exposure early on, but what you do see is, and this is going to be the common build, something like this. Scotty, our next highest owned guy is McNeely, then Kitayama, then Siwoo, Michael Kim, Taylor, Pendrith. Like, who's our next highest owned guy or like expensive guy in terms of ownership? You come down to Keegan at 8,700. We're getting 9% of him. And this is all by projected score. So this is all based on projections, but it is interesting. I do think this is how teams end up looking. Like you can see over here, Scotty, Kitayama, McNeely, Siwoo, McCarthy, Novak. This is going to be a very common build. Scotty, 5-7K guys. Scotty, 5-7K guys. Scotty, one cheap guy at Vegas, but then still 3-7Ks essentially, and Goddard. I mean, that's what we're going to see this week in terms of roster construction. We'll see. We'll go through. We'll change it to Sabre score at some point, but I think this projected score setup here is what we're probably going to see in terms of the most common builds.
Yeah, and you're getting the guaranteed rounds, so obviously these guys are going to. It's they're getting the same amount of holes as the 9K guy at 7,500, and if you don't feel they're that much different, some of these guys have won down in this range recently, even like a Kurt Kitayama, for example, versus the guys up above. And so I know where people will be fine with that when they land there. But like you see on your screen now, look at the exposure to McNeely and Kitayama and Siwoo. Like it's already picking its spots with the projections based on just that. If you got a stand that you like, if I don't know, Jason Day or Pendrith or Novak, one of those guys is your guy, I think you can easily just flip it by changing the projection slightly and then getting it set up to where it's what you want in the pool, and then still trust Sabre to give you the required setup that you're looking for, whether you're using starter package or the core package. If you want to have contest sims with Ultimate, you can move up and find it that way. But I think that's kind of the key, is you don't just have to go with what you've got there. A lot of people are going to do that this week. And I think there's a lot of guys around Kitayama and McNeely who look popular because they fit in every build that you can play instead. So I think that's what makes it at least somewhat interesting. What happens when you go to Sabre score? I think the lineup construction, the roster construction, I should say, is going to look similar, but I think the lineups are going to look a little bit different.
Yeah, so we'll go the 50,000 plus. So like we're playing in the lotto and see what happens. So a little less Scotty. We're down to 74% Scotty, but the rest does look pretty similar. McNeely, Siwoo, Kitayama, Pendrith, a cheapie and Dietrich, cheap and Fox, Novak, Harmon, a cheap guy all the way down at the bottom, min-priced Michael Kim. And you do see now another expensive guy come into the mix in Xander Schauffele. That's because now we're only getting 74% Scotty opposed to the 100% in the last build. Xander's showing up a little bit. Like, are we getting any more expensive? So Rory shows up 10% here. But overall, the teams are, so when you look at the top teams, changing a little bit. It's Scotty, one other spend, 2 7Ks, 2 guys in the 6s. Scotty and to spend. Scotty, this is still Scotty and balanced. Batia is not 7K, but 82 is close enough. Scotty and some 7K guys. Scotty and 85 got her up. So it is a little more aggressive by Sabre score in terms of what you're pairing Scotty with. Just in regards to these first few teams. If you go down, it might look a little bit different, but the highest ranked Sabre score teams are kind of liking him with another semi-spend, I guess would be the difference between this and projected score.
Yeah, and you see there, like it's getting an upper 8K with Matsuyama. Yes, it's putting a popular McNeely, but then it's a Pendrith Berger Fox, right? Where it's not nearly as popular that way. So I think that's what's different. Do me a favor and stay in Sabre score, but plus sign the Rory lineups. Let's see what those, like, I know it's not giving us a bunch, but out of curiosity or Xander, what do those versions of lineups with that big savings? Because it's 2,900 on Xander. It's 2,000 on Rory, down from Scotty, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the answer is you're getting another spend. Yeah, get another spend in there. So you're getting Rory and Fleetwood, Rory Cantlay, Rory Xander, Rory Scotty, Xander, Rory Henley. So you're getting a more aggressive team. So, I mean, it does come down to like these 2v2s. Do you want Scotty and an 8K guy, or do you want Rory and another spend up top, really, in regards to how a lot of these teams are looking?
So a lot of people hear me talk about building in sets, and they always relate it immediately to wave stacking and weather. I will say this is kind of one of the areas where it sort of originated, is where, people doing a dry run and you look at it and you see the interesting thing to me is not just that, you get, like you say, it's obvious to most that you got another spend, like, oh, I can get Rory and Tommy, but most people think Tommy's a loser now, et cetera, et cetera. But you notice when you can get a different build, not just for the player you're using, which Rory's clearly the pivot at the top to Scotty. No one knows what he's been doing for the weeks. Like, it's Rory. He's probably fine. It's my point being, you have Rory, Tommy, and Hideki in that lineup, and then 3 6K guys. A lot of people see that as a lot of risk versus Scotty and like the 7K guys that seem popular. So when you're getting such a unique lineup, plus it's different, that's why I'd want to have sets this week, or you could get them off your whole portfolio like this. But I'm saying, if you weren't looking into it like what we're doing, that's why I think this is so powerful. If you weren't going to look into it like this, I prefer on a week that's, like this, where there's 49 golfers only, a lot of players that are playing, the combinations become similar, the usage becomes similar. I would be looking to exploit by having some lineups like this. Whether they're right or wrong, I want both sides of the coin in my portfolio. And I know with the starter and ultimate package on SaberSim, you also get portfolio diversification. That's a feature that some other sites are sort of jumping onto or jumping in with. At the price you get it with SaberSim and us, I mean, you can get as little as $129 a month, including all of our content, the Stone, the Discord, etc., and being in SHIPIT games. That's kind of the setup where you can see that you're getting different lineups already naturally without even having to build them in sets. And this just clearly shows you're getting different builds, different roster constructions altogether.
And then in regards to fading the 6K range, it definitely depends on how many teams you're doing. If you're only doing a few teams, you can make it work. But if you're playing 150 and you plan on playing Scotty Scheffler this week, it's not viable. Like, you're going to have to play some of the 6K guys. If you're making 3, 4, 5 teams, yeah, I'm sure you can make it work if you're fading. But anything like 20 teams and above, I'd imagine you'd have to drop down here at least a little bit.
Also, it was because he said this before. It's not true. I mean, we literally just looked at it. Scotty is going to get jammed more than anything you've seen in a while in all stake levels, because it's just the way it works. It's very easily affordable, and people aren't having that. Actually, a different build this week. You can go back to it now with Scotty's and scroll through. All those Scotties had like 3 or 4 7K guys, if not 5. I didn't see very many 6K versions at all. So Scotty with 2 6K guys would be able to get you a different style Scotty build versus what the optimizer's throwing our way, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a wide variety. I mean, this is we got it by Saber Score, and I do have a contest sim ran too, so we can pull that up. But
this is on Saber Score. That's what I was saying. To be honest,
projected score, yeah, it's all him and the 7K guys.
That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, and I know Andrew knows this stuff, but just making sure he's aware of what we're looking at is what you're seeing is Saber Score. That's telling you that that's the way to go and still be unique and different and get away with it, versus actually the projected lineups were showing Scotty mostly with Kitayama, McNeely, and then pick your poison, maybe one upper 6K guy, which is basically the same thing. This is showing you how you can get a little bit different within that.
Yeah. I mean, Scotty's going to be owned. The 6K range is going to be owned. There's really like no way around it. I mean, it's not hard to play Scotty Scheffler this week, like whatsoever. I did want to pull up contest sims, kind of see where we're at there and what changes. So let me get rid of Scotty. All right, yeah, so interesting. So now Scotty drops to only 35% exposure when we run contest sims. You see Xander come up to 20% exposure, Rory 14, Fleetwood 14. So it really likes to spread things out. What do the Scotty teams look like? Very aggressive, much more aggressive when you run contest sims. Michael Kim, Dietrich, and Bud Cauley, Scotty in the spend. Michael Kim and Dietrich, Scotty in 2 8K. So these teams look way different than projected score and way different than Saber Score as well. 3 guys 6,500 and below, Scotty with Cameron Young. 4 6K guys, Scotty, Xander.
So this is interesting, Hoop, because remember earlier when we were talking about it, we were like, okay, it's kind of like Scotty and an 8K guy versus this. It's really not. Like if you go to, because now with contest sims, it's showing us that if you go, it's really, do you want Rory, Xander, Hideki, or do you want Scotty with, I don't know, Fleetwood or Cantlay, and then be able to get another guy that's in the 7, get your 7K guy? because you still end up on 3 6K guys in both those lineups. So it's kind of considering what do you really want up top. And I think a lot more people that's where the Scotty boost is going to come in even more, because people will happily take Scotty, any 10K guy, and a mid-7 over Rory, Xander, and a Hideki or a Keegan or something like that. So that actually makes for, a battle of the 6K guys, but then you got to hope your trio comes out on top. So I think that's more interesting from looking at it and seeing what it's actually doing. The bottom line is it's definitely telling you the 6K guy, like it all, the way I look at it, like the 6K guys are super safe. Nobody knows who, what, why, when. It's, it's all fugazi until we get to the finish line. But from a build stance and from all the different lineups, it's showing you that it's comfortable up to 4 6K guys, no problem, because they're all getting the same holes, right? They're all getting 72 holes.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of overall exposure. I mean, Michael Kim, 15%, Vegas, 13, Dietrich, 10, Ryan Fox, 18%, Gerard, 13%, Bridgman, 13, Sam Stevens, 16, Taylor, 16, Poston, 13, Harmon, 15. So we are getting a lot of exposure down here in any format, and specifically when we have it sorted using contest sims.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's what I'd be looking at, and it's a way to get different naturally. When you start to see that the projections are mostly jamming the 7K guys, it's a way that you can flip it around and do different builds, whether you like the Scotty with another stud and somebody else version versus the Rory one. That's going to be more so up to you. But do you think it's going to be more that go to, shout out to our guy Courtney, always here supporting, we appreciate you, says, do you think Xander will be higher owned than Rory? Sorry.
I'd say probably pretty similar. I mean, I guess I'll kind of cop out there a little bit. I think it's going to be pretty similar between those two. I think everyone after Scotty gets something probably between like 12 and 20% or something. Like after Scotty's, I mean, Scotty's numbers, in my estimation, is going to be higher than this 35. I think it comes up. I think it probably is closer to 50, I would guess. It's just easy to play multiple guys up top. Even if you are playing Scotty, people will play 3 6K guys. So I think like Rory, Xander, Fleetwood, Ludwig, Cantlay, they'll all get some within like 7 ownership points, I guess, like probably between like 13 and 20% or 10 and 18 or somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I wonder if this will flip quick for us. I just want to see something, but remove ad. Yeah, one thing I'll say is this, another thing that we have over on the site is we've started doing premium SaberSim shows with additional, like with using our tools on the site and bringing them across. And if you're a member already, or if you're not, you get this as an added bonus. If you're already using SaberSim somewhere else and come over, this will be another added bonus. The live Q&As we do, myself, Rio, our guy Hebrew Cheetah, who just shipped another 50K the other night. Shout out to him. And I know he's got the live final seat in Boston this week. Shout out to him again for sending me as the +1 king. I'm excited for that. But Jordan from SaberSim, we did a PGA show, and he showed who I thought it was super valuable. So if you remember, just go watch this. It's quick. Is he showed how you can just do those projections in your own favor. Like, it's so customized. Like, you do whatever you want with it. But it's like you said, if you already know something's going to change and you want to edit the field or be able to mess with it your own way, you can do all that in the back end. And this video here shows it off. So it's just another added advantage to members. We've got more of those coming up. And then we've got actual tutorials from our guy Sheets. If you guys don't follow Sheets, MB Habes on DraftKings, you see him on FanDuel. He's crushing it everywhere. He does tennis, NASCAR, PGA stuff, even the updated version with the new optimizer. So you guys can go get all that as an added bonus as well. I'll let you take back control here and bring mine out of it. But yeah, I just thought that was a good question. And that's a way you can get different with SaberSim using our stuff as well.
Yeah, good shout out there. And we'll obviously be doing more of those videos along the way for NFL season. Got a pretty big announcement in regards to that coming up pretty soon. I think starting lines Fleetwood, good pivot. I think anything that doesn't start with Scotty is probably going to look a little bit different. Like, I think a lot of teams I think Scotty's going to be probably 50. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a random number, but it's closer to 50 than anything else. So, yeah, maybe it's a little different. Like, let's see what a Scotty team or what a Fleetwood team looks like. Let me take out Scotty, Rory, Xander, Ludwig. What sort of teams are we left with? If you start, well, I guess we can include Ludwig because he's cheaper. So if you start there, so you're getting Tommy, Cam Young, Corey Connors. That's probably definitely different. Fleetwood, Morikawa, JJ Spawn. That's different. To me, all these teams look different and unique-ish. Like, obviously, there's only 50 guys in the field. Like, people are all going to be on every sort of build, every sort of combination in the large field stuff. But it does, to me, look a little bit different. Let me see if I can see it gets cut off, the total ownership on some of these teams. Let's see if I pull this over. Yeah, so it's like the first one up here is 83% total ownership, 72. So that is low number for a 50-man field. So to me, these teams definitely look different. I don't. Again, every build is going to have a decent chunk of ownership build type because there's only 50 guys, but I do think this is definitely different.
What's the top team say for a second? Just scroll up to the very top when I saw something I wanted to point out with the first Tommy team.
Yeah.
Cam Young, Corey Connors. So this is another thing that's a great teaching point for 2 seconds of like the kid. People will just sit there and say naturally that Kitayama's donkey chalk or he's horrible, right? And again, that's where the initial statement was. It was not who you play, it's how you play them. This is a prime example of how you could easily play Kitayama. Whether he's horrible in a vacuum or whatever you want to say, if it's just, we're not matchup betting. You have to fill out the rest of your lineup. And with Kitayama in that lineup that starts with Tommy, cuts off the win equity at the top, plays Cam Young, Connors, Stevens, etc., with a 6K guy, 2 7s, an 8, a 9, and a 10, you're already different enough that if you believe in that sort of build, that you're not hurting yourself in any way by adding Kitayama in there. Like, I know people always look at it like, oh, I don't want to play Kitayama because he's chalk. It's how you build with him. That is a prime, and that's what SaberSim does, is gets you put in position that when you are using Kitayama, you're using him correctly. And other people fall into the trap of saying like, oh, if he's going to be 20%, I got to take a side. Well, if you're playing with SaberSim and using the stuff we're talking about today, you actually don't. Because like I always say, of the 20% Kitayama lineups, that means every 200 lineups, you know what I mean? Like, for example, every 1,000 lineups, 200 of them are Kitayama. Yeah. 50 of those could be horrible. So really, he's kind of only at 15%. If you end up with 22%, you're not just 2% over the field like the facts say of 22 versus 20 in your exposures and leverage, because you're building in a more correct way, looking at ROI and field strength. You're building against the field, etc. You actually do have 22%. Even though the field shows 20%, it's probably more likely 15% where he's actually plus EV, or you're actually putting yourself in a good ROI position. So always keep that in mind when you're building, and don't just write somebody off because of last week or because of an ownership number, or this, that, and the other. Just don't play everybody together. It's not a cash game. Don't play all the chalk in one build.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, just it goes back to your point that you always say, not who you play, how you play them. I think it's a good point. The Goddard thing, the one thing I do like about Goddard, and we can kind of dive into the tiers and talk about some of these guys. He finished strong last week. I think he was 4-5 under, I believe, in round 4. And if I'm, playing a guy that didn't have a great overall week, I do like, going with guys that finished at least strong, and Goddard did finish strong last week. So I do like him.
Yeah. And if you find anything like that you want to stick with now, sometimes that doesn't sort of leak into the projections. So if you want that now, he is at 8,500 kind of popping a little bit there. But if you can go the other way on it, is no way Justin Rose can play good again after he just won last week. He did that and he'll never play good. No, we've seen this play now. Speaking of Goddard up, the guy that did win and then came out the next week and got third at the Open after crushing and winning the Scottish Open. It's like, oh, he can't do it again. That was crazy that he got it, but good for him. Nope. Back in the next week, completely optimal, third place, like just super solid guy that week as well. So it's the same thing here with a guy like Rose, Keegan, Hideki, Connors. There's a bunch of options there. Akshay, who I was like there. So Akshay Bhatia is 8,200. I started in the 8K soup, but go up to the 10s and the 9s and talk about maybe 2 or 3 others that you might like in there. You think could be guys that would be in your lineups.
Yeah, we covered Scotty a lot. Obviously, he's going to be highly owned. The teams are going to look, much different than if you do start with Rory and the $2,000 savings. We saw it. It's very easy to get another spend in there with Rory. This is sorted by Saber Score, and you can see here a lot of exposure, 40% Xander on our Rory team. So it's going to be easy to play Rory with others. I think it is interesting. I think it's important kind of what you do with him. My initial stance is probably to just be around the field. Like, I don't love him, but I don't want him to screw me either, I guess, is kind of where I'm at. And this is like a birdie fest, and you'll be able to make a lot of birdies, and I'll be somewhere around the field. But one name that definitely stands out to me is Ludwig, and 10-2, not a strong finish to the season, but saw quite a bit of him last week, and I kind of like where he was at. So he's one that stands out. And then, Patrick Cantlay. I mean, it does seem like every year he just starts to play better golf, like towards the end of the year and this FedEx Cup playoffs, and can't imagine he's going to be super highly owned at probably his peak price of the season. Like, it definitely hasn't been this expensive for the majority of the season. So like Ludwig and Cantlay are two names that stand out to me in this 10K range, going down to the 9s. This is where you first start to see names that look like way too expensive. Like, Cameron Young, 9,800. We were just paying like 7K for him. He's been playing really good golf. I mean, the iron shots have been, it seems like he's been within 12 feet every single approach shot. 9,800 is a little expensive and probably some sticker shock, but I do want to be there on him. Henley, Colin Morikawa, I just haven't been playing much of him. Like, it's a 50-man field. You're probably playing a majority of these guys. You're not going to make like a bunch of crazy fades and stances, I don't think, this week. But Morikawa, I don't know. I don't think people are going to like the $9,400 price tag on JJ Spawn, but man, he's been great. I do want to play some of him. And then Ben Griffin, just continue on with him. Like, even like at 9,100, like, he has been like a top 10 machine all year. And if he can do it again at 9,100, I'm interested in him. It's been a really good season for him. So names that definitely stand out here: Cam Young, JJ Spawn, and then Ben Griffin in the 9K range.
Yeah. Some of the conversations too around these guys like JJ Spawn and Ben Griffin have been much better than some of the guys at the top. Even a guy like Xander, I know he came off injury and came back, and you'll say whatever about him. I'm not saying they're better than him. I'm not saying long-term or anything when he gets healthier. I'm just saying the pricing this week and the way it sets up, if you like that sort of middle range, I would definitely roll with your guys. I'm going to be playing some Spawn, be playing some Ben Griffin. I like Cam Young. That was what Andrew just brought up, is talking about guys that win and then come back the next week. Cam Young went win 5th. No way. He busted the seal, finally gets the win, then comes back with a 5th the following week. Like, people definitely could do that. So there is some interesting spots there. Another one was the Cantlay conversation you mentioned up top. I guess he'll probably get the late steam only because he won here the time they played it back in 2021, had a 9th place last week. So if anybody did land there, fine. But it's realistically, it doesn't feel like a lot of people are going to go there. People are talking about Scotty, then it goes to Rory Xander, then it goes to Fleetwood, and down from there. So I don't know. I think there's definitely room for some balanced builds here. You just got to know what you're doing, or going extra aggressive with Scotty, hopping it into this range, and then dealing with the 6s down below. And we'll get there shortly. Anything in the 8Ks that stood out to you that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, probably like the 8s more than the 9s. Like, Fitzpatrick didn't have the best week last week, but just continues to be solid and steady. Like, where did he end up finishing? Last week he finished 32nd, which is not great, but that's middle of the pack. And I mean, that's like basically his worst finish in 10 events. Like, he's been solid. So I'm in on Fitz. Matsuyama looked pretty good to me. Another guy that had a strong finish last week. I believe he shot like 6 under in the last round. Got her up, I like, for the bounce back spot. Akshay to me is way too cheap. McIntyre, I'm going to keep playing. And then your boy Sungjae showed some signs of life, and he's only 8K, finished 17th last week. He was 27th the week before. Just a middle price tag for him. So I like a lot of these guys. I'll definitely be overweight on basically everyone I just mentioned there.
Third here also for Sungjae in 2020. They played it, which again, I don't care. You guys know that's me with the sample size of 1, and who gives a shit? It means nothing now, but he did show some life last week. You mentioned it there. I actually like the Fitz call that was brought up. You brought it up, and then Andrew had posted it in the chat. He's let a lot of people down lately. Decky was popping up a little in the projections. I kind of like Bradley. So I'm more on those upper guys than the mid-range. Akshay would be the guy at the bottom that I got a little bit more love for. So I would go down to 8,200 with Akshay. And then moving into the 7s, I think it's just going to be a lot of love for Kitayama and McNeely. I think Hall is still interesting at 7,800. It's been middling finishes, but and I talk about this all the time. It's one or two. When you're 18th, 15th, 17th, 9th, 13th, 6th, 15th, 22nd, like all those finishes are a stroke or two away from saying this guy has like 10 top 10s, if not some of those were top 10s. So you know what I mean? Like that's my point on a guy like him. I think the Fowler conversation is interesting. So Fowler is getting shit talked for maybe good reason, because he needed 6 signature event exemptions, like sponsor exemptions, to even get into the top 48. And they're saying it's kind of a joke that happens. Yet Chris Kirk is in 51st, just misses, and then has to look at that happening. And you get 6 sponsors exemptions. But that's business, I think. Like it's Ricky's going to sell tickets. Ricky's who the kids want to see. Yeah. People still love Ricky. I get it, but that's a note. But if that's going to be the talk, I only give a shit about his game, and his game has been fine. I don't think anyone's super interested in him at 7,900. So again, I like sort of the upper and lower range. At the bottom, I think Novak is a guy that I'm just going to continue playing. So another 6th place last week. He's had a great season. I think that's sort of where I'm at in this 7K range.
Yeah, kind of on the same guys. The Fowler thing, yeah, it's super unfortunate, but that's just kind of what happens with golf. I mean, was it the President's Cup or Ryder Cup when Justin Thomas had the worst year of his career and he gets picked? Like they're gonna give some preferential treatment to these guys that sell tickets, and it's very unfortunate. You're probably going to see it this year with the Ryder Cup team because some of the big names aren't guaranteed in, and I will guarantee you that they're gonna find their way in one way or another. They want the big names involved in these big events. Fowler beneficiary of it, but like you said, I don't give a shit. Like now we're talking DFS and he's been playing well, and I'm interested. Harry Hall, probably my favorite guy in this range, so I'm glad you brought up his name. Hasn't fully finished, but he's 7,800. Like that's below the average cost of a roster spot on DK, and here are his finishes: 22nd, 15th, 28th, and 28th at the Open, 17th, 13th, 9th, 24th, 6th, 19th, 20th, 33rd. Like made looks like 12 cuts in a row. Like dude has been playing steady golf. I'm very interested there. Pendrith, Novak, a couple other names, but it's it's a loaded range. And again, this is one of those spots where if it's going to be Kitayama and McNeely that get all the ownership, if that's the case, there is 5 to 6 other guys that I can play. I'm not saying I'm fading Kitayama or McNeely, but if you have a build that is very popular, let's say you got like a Scotty, I don't know, like Akshay. I think Akshay probably gets some ownership. If you have like a Scotty Akshay start and then you happen to land on like Kitayama, pivot to somebody. Go down to a lower owned option in this range. So a lot of different options here. I think we're kind of in alignment in this 7K range.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I want to answer a couple. This is actually hilarious. I just saw this. I must have missed it earlier today. It's just been a lot going on, but Chris Kirk's caddy is who's going to fill in for Scotty this week. Yeah, so dude has to watch his man finish 51st outside in. By the way, if you were watching on Sunday, which I definitely was, the Chris Kirk down the stretch, he missed a shorty at 16 and 17.
Yeah.
For birdie, and then drains a long one on 18. Frustration.
But didn't he hit one in the water too? Like one of those last holes? I think he hit one in the drain.
Yeah, but I'm saying like what he needed down the stretch was sort of he needed a couple birdies, I think, and he only got 1 for 3. But he made the longest putt and missed the 2 short ones, and it was just brutal the way they sort of lipped out or didn't quite get in. But that is a plot twist. Ryan, our guy, says when talking player pool, and let's say the $10 would you suggest a super tight pool this week? Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me this week, and in usual weeks I'm playing tighter anyway. When you play lighter, play tighter, and that's just not dollar amount. That's playing less lineups. I want to just I'm in or I'm out. But this week particularly, just take your stands and get enough of everybody that you're in on, and just don't try and sprinkle a million different things. And I'm not really.
And one other suggestion, and it's not necessarily in regards to this question, but something different. Can you please just find a new golfer for next year, man? Just like anybody but EVR. Let's move on. Like the guy is not very good. Let's just find somebody else that we can talk about all next season. No EVR, please.
He's talking to Ryan, by the way. Ryan is a super fan, I guess you would call it, of EVR, and a extra lover of EVR.
Yeah, let's find a new golfer for next year. How about that?
Let me see this. What do we got for EVR this year? Let me click them in. So EVR is the number 86 golfer in the world, which those are all bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
He had a second place at the Barracuda Championship recently. He had a second
at the event, basically.
Byron Nelson, a 9th at the Cognizant, a 30th at the Sony Open. That's a stretch. And then before that, pretty much nothing dating back to last year at like the Myrtle Beach and the Rocket Mortgage. So he might be like really the Cognizant is where you play him. That was T2 again last year. That's about it. But other than that, he might be an overpriced Troy Merritt. You play him in these birdie fests, you play him in these spots that you want to play him, and then at the Cognizant and call it a day. But I'm not doing much better with my Sung JM option, so I can't really say too much either. I'll leave it at that. All right, Hoop, 6K range. We're almost done here. Anything you want to mention in the 6K range?
I'm kind of gonna stick with my dudes here, like Poston, Sam Stevens. I've been playing a lot of Bridgman. Bud Cauley seems like pretty good value. I mean, I know he kind of sucked down the stretch, but been playing good golf overall. Gerard, I think Ryan Fox is interesting here just because of the birdies, and he can definitely make them. Vegas kind of snuck in there. I think he's a fine option. So there's guys down here. It's just a matter of how much you want to play of them. Lucas Glover, I suppose. I don't know. You can kind of play anyone. I'll stick with my dudes down here though.
Eric Landa's in the chat says I think
possible
55. I don't
Very
think
possible.
I don't think so, but yeah, it is funny, and it that course is different. It used to be the Honda. Love that place. Got to see. By the way, speaking of Sung Jae, that's who you play at the Cognizant. Winner at the Honda, and I was there that year, so that's sort of probably why I'm still in on Sung Jae. That was a great event. We all had him bet. It was a community bet, if you will, for that one where we some had receipts, some did not.
Well, you don't want to say community bet because most of the guys don't actually bet. So you got to say you personally bet on it and won. You don't want to lump yourself in with that crew.
And I was with Kenny Kim, who obviously loves his Koreans, and he was the only one in the crew that didn't have the bet, but there was no more fired up. He was polishing off bottles of Crown Royal left and right. It was an awesome time. So, I think this is true too. Like the Vegas team is definitely real. People are just automatically going to that off the 14th last week. Cauley probably fits into that mold. People love Ryan Gerard, obviously for good reason. He's been a great golfer. He won recently. But if he gets steamed up, it's just there's other guys there, and you can just play the person. Also, I got to say, you talk about him having to go away from EVR. What needs to go away is same as we've been talking about since last week, but these like narratives that there was a post going around on X of like what everybody needs to do to move into the next round. It literally means nothing. They all need to play amazing to move on. They're all extremely motivated. There is huge cash on the line. They're all trying to win. They're not all going to win. They're not all going to hit their target. Nobody goes into the week and says, man, 24th, let me just aim for 24. Like they play to win. They play their best golf because they know even if they shoot for perfect, which is winning, and come up short and hit excellent, they still end up within their number. Nobody's like, oh, as long as I get a top 40 here, so they just play like shit all week. No. They're all
That's the whole problem with like golf coverage too, because no one gives a fuck if Chris Kirk or Johnny Vegas make it into the top 50. Like nobody cares about that narrative whatsoever. Or Pockgeiter, does he get in? Like nobody cares. Like it's the bottom guy, number 50. People want to see Scotty Scheffler hit golf shots, and they want to see the guys leading the tournament hit golf shots. They don't give a shit who gets into the top 50 of the FedEx Cup bullshit playoffs. I can tell you that much.
Nice Degenism. To our guy Degen says, let me check my notes. Oh, there it is. PBR effing sucks. That's a good one. So I haven't brought that one back in a while. Shout out to LeBron Yahemis in the chat. But I will say, to your point there, like Bryson DeChambeau to me is the most popular golfer in the world. Some probably like Scotty, Rory, people have their own take on it, sure. But Bryson DeChambeau is a live golfer, which will be at the Detroit Live golf event here in a couple of weeks. If anybody's going to be down there, hit us up and let us know. We will be at the Live Team Championship. We're not Live Truthers, but I think the event will be pretty sweet. I would go to an F1 event, and I never really watch F1. Yeah. I just am getting into darts right now. I would go to a darts event if I could. It looks amazing, but I'm not really into darts. I joke that I'm the next Luke Littler and bought myself a board. It's exciting, but these events seem pretty cool. But to your point, that's the whole thing. Nobody really cares about where they land on the board except those golfers, and they should. That's their job. That's their livelihood. I get it. And super fans love it for them. And golf, forecasters, podcasters, whatever you want to call them, golf media has to give a shit. But that's what we always like say. We stay in our lane when it comes to what we're doing. We're talking about DFS and trying to find out ways that you can build lineups, get different, get unique against the field that you're going up against. We're trying to give you insight on that more than the other little tidbits along the way. But any other final thoughts from you, Hoop, before we get out of here?
No, I mean, probably the last golf show of the season. It's been a fun ride. Maybe we'll do a little lineup building thing or something next Tuesday or potentially Wednesday. We'll see what the field looks like. But yeah, it's been a hell of a run. Kind of fully pivoting to NFL, like you said. Like if you're a PGA only member at SHIPIT Nation, now is a great time to get an NFL membership, get in for the SHIPIT games. And if you're not a member at all, right now is the best time to get in. Get the additional ballots, get college football content for free. It's going to be like, it's not just NFL package, it's a football package. So college football is included. Get in the SHIPIT games, get in our Discord community. All access is free until the beginning of NFL if you get in. So many reasons to join us. We'd love to have you. Love to have you a part of our community. Now is definitely the time to hop in with us.
Yeah, and just the final thing, because I forgot to bring this up earlier. This is important, so I'll let you know. But we are going to re-record a shorter little 10-minute version breaking down SHIPIT games. Going to come out on our YouTube channel. It will just be called SHIPIT Games Full Details or SHIPIT Games Explained or something like that, where we'll put it out there with the prize and the golden SHIPIT ticket and everything. It'll be very quick, so if you haven't caught up on it yet or you don't go to shipitgames.com to read into it, you can always shoot questions over to us. But we're going to post that out. And with that said, Hoopster, the Robin Hood of the DFS industry, I'm always the scarcity marketing. We got to close this deal out. Give them some time, but not all the time. He extended it for one more week. So for the bonus ballots for joining as going back to the main page here for 2 seconds, if you join with the early bird special for NFL, you get 5 bonus ballots into the SHIPIT game. So you will start week 1 with 6 ballots. When anybody joining monthly or just has a month plan will have 1. If you are a current member or you're not a current member and you want to go with all access and upgrade to an annual package, you will also get those 5 ballots. That was supposed to end tomorrow night at midnight. We are extending it till next Wednesday at midnight to round out the PGA season and to make sure everybody's just sort of right on the cusp of the season starting. So we're not upping the price yet. We're not taking away the bonus ballots. You still get free all access. Kick it over to you, Robin Hood, to get us out of here. So.
Yeah, had to keep it extended a little bit longer. I know a lot of people are hesitant to sign up for NFL within the month. Now we're within weeks. We're within 3 weeks. So you got a little more time. We are your spot for NFL. You get the bonus ballots, get in, can get that golden SHIPIT, get it right out of the way. Week 1. I mean, that'd be amazing to get locked in, hang out with us through the NFL season, help build this prize pool, get it over. I want to get it over 6 figures. We need to make sure some of these people winning game 2 where they're playing the free wild card ticket. Got to make sure we're getting up to the top of the leaderboard a couple times. So I want this prize pool to grow. There's no need to wait. If you know you're with us for NFL or college, now is the time to get in. There's no need to wait. You get free all access leading up to NFL season. Now's the time.
Our guy Dollar
you get
Bills,
the extra week, like you said, important.
Yeah, our guy Dollar Bills in the chat. He takes care of CFB for us, along with the amazing team that we have behind the scenes. Projections, ownership, the Stone, best tool in DFS, our core report, our player pool, the Discord updates on who's out, and not just who's out, late scratch, beat writer stuff, but who that means is next man up and all that stuff. That's $200 to $300 for the annual pass at other sites. That's definitely going to be something you're going to want to have if you got college football where you're at. And by the way, earlier, got to give a huge shout out to our guy BG Littleneck in the NFL preseason streets, grinding it for the people in the Discord. Everyone's getting that included right now, and I know a ton of members, including he's a walk the walk, talk the talk guy. He put it all out there for everybody. A bunch of people won money, and then he jumped to the top of the tournament for $5K and showed that off. So shout out to BG Littleneck, always grinding the streets, NFL, the preseason stuff, the niche stuff, and then NBA, of course, as well. So appreciate that. Ryan says extend the deals. Yeah, there's a lot of members that reached out that still want to make sure they get in on that. That's definitely going to happen. And our guy Monday behind the scenes working on all those important tools that you guys know and love, including the Stone, says, Tambo, I'll start working on the Dart Stone. Yeah, baby. All I know is Luke Littler, and that's it. And the guy's electric. I think he's 19 years old. It's incredible.
The darts thing is funny because I literally played darts for the first time in quite a few years last weekend.
Did you?
Had some success as well. So next weekend, you and I might have to meet up. Maybe we'll live stream it or something.
We should definitely do it. And by the way, this is what's crazy. I love about the community, and it's end of the show now. I mean, by NFL season, we'll be talking about how Hoop likes his dessert at this time. But just to note it, our guy LSU Nick is coming out to Michigan with us. He's played darts for 28 years.
Oh, well, he's gonna probably
perfect.
smoke
It's
us.
like Rising with bowling. This is Nick with darts. He's texting me stuff about perfect scores and apps to track it with. He wants to play some darts too, so we'll have to get out and try and find it. I guarantee you, G Ryzen will play. He's a bowling guy. He has to like darts. So, last time we got a Hoop live stream, he jumped in the pool. Wasn't it the shirt off?
That was a long time ago. Yeah, it's at the water park with the kids, and we were doing a live stream, and just took the shirt off and just jumped right in. Yeah, it was definitely a long time ago. But don't forget about the Thanksgiving shoey. I don't know. Maybe I didn't live stream that. I think I recorded and then posted. So you might be right. Yeah, that was probably the last live stream.
That was good. You did the Hoop Shuffle, remember?
The Hoop Shuffle. Yep, that was good.
Shuffle, he had the whole the treasure trail on display. This man.
Yeah, we'll get some content pumping next weekend when we're at the Live Golf event and hanging out at the casinos and whatnot. We'll get some stuff rolling. People love
Ross
it.
Live stream. Nick is going to have to give. So this is like Nick. I gave him some advice. It's usually DFS advice, and we're chatting through life stuff together and going through it. And it's like he says, just so you know, this, and this. I said, well, now you get $0 from me. You could have hustled me instead. Like the sharpest dart player.
Well, you say you've been playing for 28 years. Like, there's not many people that have consistently played darts. Like, you got to be in like a dart league, or obviously super passionate, and you're probably pretty damn good if you've been doing it for 28 straight years. So you lost a lot of hoop dollars by me finding out that information.
I told him he's just too nice a guy. That's what we love about the community. Nice people, everyone gets along. But I will say, you said one more thing I'll add at the end here. This pool, jumping it up, not only do we have share a ship, which you guys can go read the rules on shipitgames.com, which is the obvious way. But our guy Sheets was talking about, I know he already stepped in the streets talking about for the MLB live final for FanDuel, he might do something. There's going to be a ton of people like yourself, myself, I'm sure other partners and people with our community will jump in when people want to donate a certain amount of their prize pool to the of their winnings, to the Ship It Games prize pool. That's going to be eligible as well. So this prize pool is only going to grow. The prizes are down on the site. 20,000 to first is the minimum that it's going to be for first prize for whoever that lucky winner is of the first NFL Ship It Games. So we really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. That's going to do it for this one. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it!